안녕하세요. 망고의 리딩 채널입니다. 오늘은 캘린더 미스터리즈의 제니워리 조커를 읽어보려고 하는데요. 이 책은 론 로이라는 사람이 지었다고 합니다. 그럼 이제 읽어볼까요? 고고! January Joker. A strange yellow light filled the backyard. The snow in the barn had turned yellow. See, I told you, Bradley said. He stepped out onto the porch. Brian, Nate, and Lucy followed him. Next to the barn, two small creatures hopped around in the middle of a big circle in the snow. They looked like broccoli spears. They had large heads, short arms, and tiny legs. Aliens, said Bradley. January Joker. Chapter 1. Spooky Lights. Bradley Pinto sat up in bed. His red hair was flat on one side. He blinked and rubbed his sleepy brown eyes. Bradley thought he'd heard a strange noise outside his bedroom. Yawning, he climbed out of bed. He tiptoed by his twin brother's bed. He stepped over the two lumpy sleeping bags on the floor. Bradley put his ear to the door. No noises. He opened the door. Nothing out there. Then he noticed a bright light outside his bedroom window. Oh my gosh, he said. Bradley ran to his brother's bed. Hey, Brian, wake up, Bradley whispered. Brian mumbled. Bradley poked Brian's leg. Brian, wake up. There are weird lights in the backyard. A sleeping bag sat up. Inside, it was Nate Hathaway, one of Bradley's best friends. Let me see, Nate said. He crawled out of his bag. Nate had black hair like his sister Ruth Rose. The twins' older brother, Josh, was best friends with Ruth Rose and her neighbor, Dink Duncan. The other sleeping bag popped up. It was Lucy Armstrong. She was Dink's cousin, visiting for a year from California. Her parents were helping build a school on a reservation in Arizona. What's going on? Lucy asked. Her blonde hair was tied in pigtails. She wore Wonder Woman pajamas. Brian grinned from his bed. Bradley is having a dream, he said. I am not, Bradley said. There's something out there and I'm going to see what it is. Bradley put on his slippers and stepped out into the dark hallway. Wait for us, Nate said behind him. The four kids tiptoed through the house and down into the kitchen. Bradley pulled open the back door. A strange yellow light filled the backyard. The snow in the barn had turned yellow. See, I told you, Bradley said. He stepped out onto the porch. Brian, Nate, and Lucy followed him. What is it? Lucy whispered. It's cold out here. Brian complained. Oh my gosh, look, Nate squealed. Next to the barn, two small creatures hopped around in the middle of a big circle in the snow. They looked like broccoli spears. They had large heads, short arms, and tiny legs. Aliens, said Bradley. What are they doing? Nate asked. Just jumping up and down to get warm, Brian said. I can see my breath. Are they really aliens? Lucy asked. Nate giggled. They sure aren't raccoons, he said. They're definitely aliens, Bradley said. I saw pictures just like them in my space book. Bradley had gotten UFOs and you for Christmas. What's that circle in the snow? Nate asked. It must be where their spaceship landed, Bradley said. Ryan snorted. Brad, you'll believe anything, he said. Well, what do you think they are? Bradley asked. I think Nate is pulling another practical joke, Brian said. Me, Nate squeaked. Yeah, you, Lucy said. Like last week when you sent Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose postcards telling them they won $1 million. Nate giggled. Boy, they were mad. When they found out it wasn't true, he said. All 4 kids laughed. So how did you do it? Brian asked Nate. How do you make those 2 little guys in this circle in the snow and that yellow light? But I didn't do it, Nate insisted. Suddenly, the light in the yard went out. The 2 creatures disappeared in the darkness. There were just the dark barn and the moon on the snow. Where did they go? Bradley asked. Ask Nate, Brian said. He turned around and went back inside. I'm innocent, Nate said. He followed Brian into the warm kitchen. Let's go in, Bradley, Lucy said. I'm shivering. Bradley watched the empty backyard for another few minutes. He didn't see the light or the aliens again. Come back, he whispered. Please come back. Chapter 2. Circle in the Snow. The next morning, Bradley beat Brian to the table. They were dressed alike in warm shirts and jeans. Nate and Lucy came down the stairs next. They wore snow pants, sweaters, and boots. Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose were making breakfast. Josh's dog, Paul, was under the table chewing his favorite toy, a rubber hot dog. Brian and Bradley's parents rushed into the room. They pulled on coats and hats. Dad and I are meeting Dink's and Ruth Rose's parents for breakfast, said Bradley's mother. We'll be back in a couple of hours. Josh, Dink, and Ruth Rose are in charge. I saw space aliens in the backyard last night, Bradley told his parents. That's nice, dear, his mother said. Tell me all about it when we get back. But now we have to scoot. You younger kids listen to the big kids, Bradley's father added. We don't need babysitters, Brian said. Brian and Bradley, Lucy, and Nate were all in first grade. The 3 older kids were in 6th. Yes, you do, his mother said. Bye-bye. Then they were gone. Just the 7 kids and Pa were left in the kitchen. Chow time, Josh said. He and Dink and Ruth Rose brought pancakes, syrup, and glasses of milk to the table. Did you see lights in the backyard last night? Bradley asked Josh. Nope. I was dreaming of surfing in Hawaii, Josh said. The 7 kids gobbled up all the pancakes. We cooked, so you have to clean up, Josh told the younger kids. I'm not doing any dishes, Brian yelped. Just wipe the table and put your dishes in the sink, Ruth Rose said. And come out and we'll take Polly for some exercise, Josh said. Can we ride her? Lucy asked. Sure, we all will, Josh said. Dink, Josh, and Ruth Rose tugged on their coats and boots and left the house. Paul followed them, carrying his rubber hot dog in his mouth. Lucy and Nate put everything in the sink. Bradley wet a sponge and wiped the table. You're supposed to help, Bri, he said. Brian grinned. No, I'm older than you. Yeah, by 1 minute, Brian said. He tossed the sponge at his brother. Brian caught it. Let's go out, he said. Maybe Bradley can show us where the spaceship landed last night. I saw you didn't believe me, Bradley said. I don't, Brian said. A lot of people in California see UFOs, Lucy said. See, Bradley said to his brother. Come on, I'll prove it. The 4 kids grabbed hats and coats and mittens. They clumped down the back porch steps in their snow boots. Bradley led the way toward a flat space next to the barn. The other 3 kids followed him like ducklings. The snow came up to their ankles. They left footprints as they trudged across the yard. Bradley was the first one to reach it. See, I told you, Bradley said. His breath made puffs in front of his mouth. The other 3 kids stopped next to him. Awesome, Nate cried. They were looking at a circle in the snow. It was as big as a swimming pool, the perfect size for a spaceship. You are right, Lucy whispered to Bradley. 자, 그러면은 이번에 있는 챕터 2개가 끝났습니다. 꼭 구독과 좋아요 그리고 알림을 꼭 눌러주세요. 다음 영상에 다시 만나요.